belongs to division Charophyta, class Charophyceae, order Cardales, family Caraceae, and genus is Cara. Cara, actually, if we see the classification of the algae, then in the earlier classification, Cara has been included in Chlorophyta only. But later on, due to its structure, we can say, and more intensive study of the Cara, it has been given a separate division, that is a very algae which has a very elaborate structure, extensive plant structure. And if we see the occurrence of the Cara, then Cara occurs in aquatic habitat, and also we can say this plant is attached at the bottom of the water body. It is attached to the soft mud at the bottom, along with the margins of the water pools, margins of the lake, and slow flowing streams, very slow flowing streams. There we can find at the bank of the rivers, inside the river, but at the bank, the Cara plant. And then another thing which we say, that the Cara is also known as the stonewort. This is another name, or we can say the common name given to the Cara, that this is known as the stonewort because of the presence of the calcium crystals, that the body of the plant is encrusted with the calcium, and which gives a very hard texture to the plant. That is why it is known as a stonewort. The calcium carbonate is present in the cells of the plant, which are enclosing the complete structure. So it is represented by 27 species in India, and out of which we can say Cara corallina and Cara wallichii. They are the most common species of the Cara. Now coming to the thallus structure, as I told you that the thallus of the Cara is very elaborate. We have done volvox, we have done Oedogonium, where we can see when we have colonial form in the volvox, we have filamentous structure in the Oedogonium, and filamentous structure in the Oedogonium, when we see it is unbranched, as you have done it. But the Cara is, we can say, a filamentous structure which is very well branched. Large amount of branches and different type of branches are there in the Cara, and it is attaining the height, or we can say the length of 20 to 30 centimeters. It is a long plant, and maximum height can go up to 90 centimeters as upright branch, which we can call it as main axis. This main axis, as we have seen, can attain a height of 20 to 30 centimeters, and at the most we can say even up to 90 centimeters. This is the internodal region. As we can see that the main axis of the Cara is divided into nodes and internodes. This is a feature which is particular to the Cara only, that the main axis has been divided into nodes and internodes, and at each node we can say the whorl of branches, and these whorl of branches is known as, either we can call it as branchlet, or this is also known as primary laterals. These whorl of small branches branchlets or primary laterals, or even some of the authors call them as leaves. They are alternating with each other at the successive nodes. Means if we have small number of branchlets on the one side, then the other side of the internode will have we can say large number, and then they alternate accordingly as we move from node to node. And then each branchlet arises from, we can say, the node, and which will function as an apical cell. The nodal cell which gives rise to the leaf will function as the apical cell. And these branches are also consisting of limited number of nodes and internodes. Means the leaves are also divided into nodes and internodes. And that number is fixed for a particular species. And these primary laterals sometimes also develop shorter branches on them. They may be one cell, small branches, and they are known as secondary laterals. Short branches which are arising from the primary laterals are known as secondary laterals. Then another kind of branches which are found on the main axis, like if we see the thallus, the first thing which we see is main axis. On the main axis, we have discussed primary laterals, which are known as leaves also. Then we have long branches, which rises from the node itself among the primary laterals. And these long branches are again divided into nodes and internodes, and they are almost similar to the main axis itself. The long branches are, we can say, may also be known as the axillary branches. Another name for the long branches is what? Axillary branches. Ultimately, what happens that they can take the shape of the main, or they can take the place of the main axis also, because they also contain, we can say, the nodes and internodes, and it also arises from the, or we can say, the origin of the this axillary branches from the internodal cell itself. Then another thing which we find on the main axis is that is the stipules. Stipules are the unicellular outgrowths which are arising from the basal node, like over here. Small unicellular cells will be present over here at the base. They are usually in pairs. Stipules are usually, we can say, in pairs, that we have two stipules at the base of each branchlet, and that species which contains a pair of stipules at the base, that is known as bistipulate. In some species we may have, we can say, one stipule only, not pair, then it is known as unistipulate. And if we have whorl, then it is known as haplostephanous. Haplostephanous means we have unicellular stipules but which are present in a group, whorl. The technical term which we use is whorl. Means group, bunch. So they are present in bunch, and the single whorl is there, that is known as haplostephanous. But sometimes what happens that we have one whorl on this side, very specific, and one on this side. Then it is known as diplostephanous. Diplo means two. So diplostephanous stipules, they are there. Then another feature which we find on the main axis of the thallus axis, they are covered by specific cells, or you can say the sheath of vertically elongated cell. Like suppose we can say slightly enlarge it, that this is our internodal cell and this is our nodal region. So what happens is that some of the vertical cells, they are formed and they are forming a sheath around the internode, and similarly these cells are directed downward. So we can say over here that one cell directed on the upper side and second on the downward. Similarly, this is directed on the upper side and this is directed on the other side. That means the cortex of the internode is formed by the cell from both the nodal region, upper and the above nodes. They form the cortical sheath. In a way, it is known as cortical sheath. So cortical sheath is formed by the two nodes. Upper and above nodes, they form the cortical sheath of the internodal cell. Then the next feature we have in this, that is the rhizoids. Like I told you that the axis of the Cara is attached at the bottom to the mud at the bank of the water bodies and all. So how it is attached to the bottom? How it is attached to the mud? It is attached with the help of rhizoids. Rhizoids are, we can say, the multicellular branched structure in the Cara. Means at the base of this we have branch structures, multicellular, because this is also divided into nodes and internodes. So these rhizoids attach the plant to the bottom. They attach the plant in the mud. So mainly they are the function, we can say organ of attachment. Like it is very clear that when we talk about the lower plants, that means the function of attachment and absorption is done by the rhizoids, and the rhizoids are performing the same function as the roots are performing in the higher plants. So the lower plants contain rhizoids to perform the function of the roots, that is absorption and fixation, etc. And similar function is performed by the roots in the higher plants. So they are analogous to, in a way, roots of the higher plants. Now coming to the cell structure. Cell structure of Cara. Rectangular in size, and internodal cells, they are filled with, we can say, the dense granular cell. Let's go on, okay? So we can say the cell structure. As you can see over here, the internodal cells are elongated, while the nodal cells which are present over here, they are smaller in size of the internodal cell, that they contain numerous chloroplasts. And one thing is there, you have done in Volvox, you have done in Chlamydomonas, that chloroplasts are associated with the pyrenoids, which are star-storing bodies. But here, the characteristic feature of the Kara is that it lacks pyrenoids. Means no pyrenoids at all. Pyrenoids are not associated with the chloroplast in Kara. And then the cell wall is cellulosic in nature, which possess, we can say, gelatinous layer also on the outer side. And now coming to the internodal cell over here, because internodal cell is quite large and it has, we can say, this is the cell which is giving the height to the plant also. Plant is long because of the presence of the long internodes on the main axis as well as on the branches. Now we have, we can say, the single nucleus is there, but that single nucleus may divide to form several nuclei in the internodal cell. Another thing which we find over here is that we have a large central vacuole in this, and that large central vacuole occupies almost the center of the internodal cell. And we have two kinds of cytoplasm, depending upon, we can say, like inner one is known as endoplasm, and the outer, which is, because this is, we can say, the plasma membrane next to the cell wall, and next to the plasma membrane, the cytoplasm is known as ectoplasm. Ecto means outer, endo means inner. So the cytoplasm next to the plasma membrane is known as ectoplasm, and the inner cytoplasm, which is, we can say, near the central vacuole, that is known as the endoplasm. Now we have, we can say, large amount of cell organelles like Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum, etc., which are present in the endoplasm, in its endoplasm. And this endoplasm also shows what we call as a movement that is known as a cyclosis. Cyclosis is the streaming movement of the cytoplasm. And that streaming movement is, we can say, a very characteristic feature of the Kara. As you can see in the Kara, that we have several characters which are different from the other algae. We will be doing, we can say, different groups of the algae, like brown algae, red algae, etc. You will see that in the green algae which we have done, because earlier Kara was, we can say, put under the green algae, chlorophyta only. But because of its distinct nature, because of its distinct, we can say, characteristics of the thallus as well as the internal cell structure and the type of reproduction and reproductive bodies it was put under the separate division. Because when we will do the reproduction, there also you will see that it is very distinct from the chlorophyta. So here also we have the cyclosis movement. Cyclosis movement is the constant, we can say, state of rotation of the cytoplasm, which we observe in the Kara. Then the next we have, that is the, I am not, I mean on the structure over here, that you can do in the book also. Because I want to cover up, we can say, up to reproduction at least we can cover today. So structure you can see in the book and you can draw, it's very easy. Now if we come to the growth of the Kara plant, then the growth occurs with the help of, we can say, single apical cell. That apical cell which is present, we can say, on the main axis, and that is responsible for the growth of the plant body. That it will cut off or it will divide cells in all directions, giving rise to the branches, different kind of branches we can say in the plant. That is, we can say, nodes and internodes, etc. And that will help in the growth of the plant. Now coming to the reproduction part, first we will take up, that is the vegetative reproduction. Now we have several modes of vegetative reproduction, like you have done the general characters, and we have done several types of vegetative, asexual and sexual reproduction. And one thing you should keep in mind, that all the type of reproduction are not present one genus only. We may have 2 modes, 3 modes, but not all the 7-8 modes of reproduction in one plant. Like in Kara, when we talk about the vegetative reproduction, the first type of vegetative reproduction is by the formation of amylum stars. This is the first mode of, you can say, or one mode of vegetative reproduction. That these are in a way the star-shaped structures like this. And these star-shaped bodies or star-shaped structures are developing on the lower nodes of the main axis. The main axis of the Kara contains nodes and internodes. You leave the upper nodes as such. The lower nodes contain these structures whenever there is time for the vegetative reproduction. And these structures are, amylum means starch. So that means they are starch storing bodies. They are fully loaded with, we can say, starch, and each amylum star, when it gets detached from the parent plant body, it is capable of giving rise to the new plant. So we have large number of amylum stars which are developing at the basal region of the plant body, on the lower nodes of the plant body, and when these amylum bodies or amylum stars are detaching themselves from the plant, then they are capable of giving rise to the new plant. So this is one mode. Second mode is bulbils. Bulbils are again, we can say, small rounded structures, and these small rounded structures, like we have, the structure is like this. And bulbils are always attached to, you can see, rhizoids. So they are present at the nodal region of the rhizoids, means they are underground. They are situated or located in the soil itself, because rhizoids are present in the soil, in the mud. So bulbils are originating from the nodes of the rhizoids. And these bulbils are again, when they get detached, just like the amylum stars, they can also give rise to the complete plant, complete Kara body. Then in the bulbils also we can say, there are simple kind of bulbils. Then another is amorphous bulbils, means where we have amorphous bulbils, means these are the present in clumps, in groups, and they are loaded with, like we have the bulbils over here which are scattered, but in some cases like this. Means group of rounded structures, and they are loaded with food material, reserve food material. And so they are known as the amorphous bulbils. They are also present on the, now another thing is in the amorphous bulbil is that they are present on the main axis. On the nodes of the main axis. Wait. Yeah, they can be present on the stem nodes which are on the lower side, as well as they can also be present on the rhizoids also. No, because one thing more we have to see, that depending upon the species, like I told you, we have 19 species of the Kara which are present in India in different, we can say, regions. So there are certain characteristics which are particular to a particular species only. Like we have amorphous not on the stem. Then we have another mode of vegetative reproduction that is known as a secondary protonema. Secondary protonema are, we can say, there are certain, we can say, branches which arise from the nodes of the older plants. Means when the plant is hibernating, hibernating means we can say when it is trying to tide over the unfavorable conditions. Plant is not growing much, it is just simply, we can say, surviving the unfavorable conditions. Then at that time we can say certain rhizoid-like structures which are developing from the lower nodes. And they are known as the secondary protonema because they are present on the, we can say, above the ground, not inside the ground, but they seem to be, we can say, look like rhizoids only, but they are arising from the basal nodes of the main axis. So they are known as a secondary protonema, and these secondary protonema, when they detach, because what happens, the older plant dies off. During unfavorable conditions, the branches, they simply, we can say, they get disintegrated, they die off, and these secondary protonema, which are rhizoid-like branches, they survive. They tide over the unfavorable conditions, and when the favorable condition will come, then these branches will give rise to the new plant. So they are known as a secondary protonema. We will tell you about primary protonema also. The primary protonema is a stage, we can say, in between the growth phase, that we will come to later on, that what is the primary protonema. But this is the secondary protonema, we can say, which is another mode of vegetative reproduction in the cow. Now coming to sexual reproduction.